Joining us on this panel on India's innovation as a force itself, and also just not the whole make in India idea, but the design in India, to create in India. We're going to further take on the ideas that we were discussing earlier. I've got Mr. Rajat Dhawan, he's Director, McKinsey and Company. Mr. Bhavesh Thakkar, Tax Partner, BDO India. And of course, Mr. Purushottam Kaushik, Managing Director, Sales, Leader, Country Transformation, Cisco India and SAARC. Please welcome my dear panelists for this conversation. Well, I think all of us have been here and listening to the previous conversations that we had, and this really is, I think, very much a continuation of what we've been discussing. We've talked about the kind of landscape and the sort of challenges that lie ahead, and of course the vast opportunities that there are given where we are as a country and what there is to go forward to. I was just taking a quick look at some of the conversations that take place whenever we talk about innovation and also nurturing of great ideas really in this country. Two of the themes that have come up repeatedly is also where they fall into the educational space, at what stage that comes in, as well as incubation and the kind of support. You know, whether we are depending perhaps too much, look at the government, for example, in terms of enabling disruption and innovation, or perhaps there has to be other players that really have to come in to this entire equation. So I'm going to start with you by asking you, what do you really think is a key enabler at this stage? Because we know how important it is to innovate. We've had those conversations, but what do you think really are going to be some game changers when it comes to this whole front?
Yeah, so I'll start with I think Manoj's comment where he says whether India should be the back office or front office, right? So a few years back when we started business in India as Cisco, it was supposed to be for cost and for the same comment as back office.
Sure.
But today, it is certainly the Cisco is in India as the front office of Cisco World itself. We generate almost like 1/3 of the turnover of the total Cisco $50 billion that we do, and products from end to end are innovated and designed in India, and that contribute to almost 1/3 of the global turnover. And that too, beside that, we have around 22,000 people deployed for designing all these products.
Sure.
So innovation is part of now what was already established. Now beside that, how we further take it forward is working with various startup companies and also educational institutions to incubate and maybe mature those ideas and then bring it back into the company. And that's something which has created another set of opportunities moving forward, whether it's in education, healthcare, finance, banking, and we are seeing it moving forward. And all these initiatives around Digital India, smart cities, that's creating another set of ideas of how we can maybe bring technology and business together. So for us, the way industry is looking at it, for sure India is earlier a back office, but today it can be a startup capital, can be the innovation hub, and there's an immense opportunity that we see it rolling. So for us, like it's the opening of a big economy in this domain.
Mr. Thakkar, you'd like to come in on that?
Yeah, no, just to, I think, paint the picture on the other side. While the startup ecosystem is very, very important, I would also argue that the traditional companies, be it the manufacturing companies, the services companies, have a huge role to play in innovating. And I think one of the game changers here is really what do you innovate for, and how do you create a model that really is sustainable and will generate economic profits for everybody, right? So those are the two things I'd say one by one. Firstly, in terms of prioritization, one of my assertions would be that there is a bit of an 80-20. Much of the growth, and if we have to meet the aspirations that even Secretary Kant was saying, getting to 9-10% sustainable growth over 30 years, much of the innovation, 80% of it, just to put sizing, has to be directed towards domestic consumption. Innovating around fueling domestic consumption, making it much more affordable, making products and services sustainable, and that frankly will, and there are two variants of that sort of domestic innovation, consumption aimed towards domestic innovation. One I would call is basically taking the Western products and services and concepts and doing a little bit of 10, 20, 30% cost reduction to make it affordable, but largely localizing. And I call it the sort of 180 game, where you're trying to offer 100% of the value at 80% of the cost, right? But the other on the extreme is looking at India and India-like consumers, 6 billion of them globally, but at least a billion here in India, and creating what I'd call an 80-20 product, where you are offering 80% of the value at 20% of the price point. And if we are able to do that, we'll get into the virtuous cycle of fueling consumption-led growth, creating jobs, putting that disposable income back into the pockets of consumers who will come back and demand more, right? So I think that piece is very important, prioritizing domestic consumption and innovating towards it. And I would say that
Okay.
that's...
Yeah. So just to take this forward, so the question here is whether make in India is important, or I'll say that both are important.
Okay.
You need to design in India also, you need to make in India also. We need to understand with 65% of our population below 35 years of age, make in India really is not a choice, it's a compulsion. For this government or any government, this is not a choice. So take an example of a Foxconn. So all the design happens in America.
Correct.
And the Foxconn is going to come to India. So they are just going to manufacture. But the larger part of the value addition will still remain with US and not with India. So we'll be a back office of Apple in India or Samsung in India. And in the reverse case, takes a Micromax with designs in India, but produces in China.
Sure.
So that is also important for me. I design in India and make in China. For me, I should design in India and make in India both.
Okay.
So if a Micromax sets up a plant in India, it's important for me that it designs in India also and it makes in India also, because both are important. You cannot say that design in India is important and make in India is not.
Which is why we're also talking about the importance to really innovate as well, right?
Yes.
And I think that's what Secretary Kant was also talking about at some stage, which is that, you know, it's wonderful, but we can't always continue to be
Yes.
where we are. But just going back to the initial question I have, I think the understanding that we need to also localize solutions, you know, whether we're talking about frugal innovation or whatever it is, that is particular to the population here. I actually just want to understand the nuances of what could potentially really make us leapfrog, as we say, in terms of actually innovating here. I don't think it's just about finding the solutions. It's about, you know, what is it? Is it the funding? Is it the incubation? You know, perhaps on an initial academic level, governments can be involved, but after a while you need to have other players. And there is, of course, a long-term scenario that you have to also look at. I think one of the mistakes that I keep hearing about in terms of looking into innovation is that perhaps that window of giving these ideas the success or the failure tick boxes perhaps is very short in India. Would you like to come in on that?
Yeah, so you're right that perhaps the culture of maybe promoting startups and maybe connecting them to what the real solutions will be is what we're trying to promote.
Right.
But I think coming to what Rajat was mentioning, see, I still don't believe that domestic consumption can be the only driver for any of these technology-led innovations. Finally, water will find its own way, right? So whether we say that we will certainly have to push make in India or whether we have innovate in India, till now, whatever has happened, it is on the basis of the whole gravity or the need of the situation. As we said, we came here and we are innovating in India purely because it suited us. So it is now really making big for us. Same will be the maths which will happen around it. We certainly need to provide the culture and the support. And that will happen when the industry works closely with many of these startups which fall around their whole business model. Like we are working so closely with so many companies who are promoting and incubating these ideas, which can perhaps become part of our business moving forward. And that's the way we believe it can take shape. Otherwise, it will be like basically another big program where we don't see real results coming up, maybe another big words, right?
Yeah, just to add to that, I think by now it is a truism as understood in the corporate sector that more innovative companies end up creating a lot more value. I think that's more or less a truism, and that realization is actually dawning on every corporate, and I think innovation is becoming more and more pervasive, be it across products and services or the way they go to the market, right? I think the one or two additional areas that could accelerate this, I would say firstly the entrepreneurial push towards really making business models work such that you're able to create economic profit and value, right? For example, if you take manufacturing, based on our assessment of about 2,000 manufacturing companies in India, we found that only 1/3 of them actually return economic profit, which is returns above cost of capital. So we're not getting into the virtuous cycle of attracting more capital and so on. And I think the push the innovation can provide to raise the returns profile will suddenly get us into another
But
virtuous
can
cycle.
I just ask you very quickly, what is the key hindrance in terms of bringing that efficiency into the system?
I would say there's yin and yang. I think on one side it's the enabling factors
Okay.
around infrastructure, labor reforms, land reforms, and some product market barriers and regulations that could be simplified. But on the other side, there is a productivity imperative, there is a quality imperative, and an innovation imperative that enables these things that companies have to undertake, right? And both of these have to come together.
So I think given that understanding, and as you call it very interesting, the yin and yang that really needs to sort of be met to optimize the situation, who are really going to be the key stakeholders when it comes to really taking what we've been talking about as problems that have been identified repeatedly, forward? Because you've very much been involved in seeing how this entire process evolves. You've talked about the incentives that you actually
Yes.
need. What do you think are really going to be some of those key stakeholders, and how quickly should they really be acting just to take things forward here?
Yeah. So if I take the angle of the government, so government, what are the policies being coming up for incentives? So if you look at Digital India, so one of the pillars of Digital India, so Digital India is 9 pillars. So one of the pillars of Digital India is electronic manufacturing,
Correct.
because we import most of it and
Sure.
we are losing on the foreign currency. So for electronic manufacturing, there is a policy named Modified Special Incentives Package. But unfortunately, it was extended for 5 years, which was a good move. So this was done on 30th June. And till date, no notification has been issued to how to take this further, what are the guidelines. Even the state, none of the state policy have even a mention of one or line or two of innovation or R&D, or they don't have any substantial benefits. And the operational guidelines of most of the schemes. So you have a discussion, you have a big program, you present it, and almost a year now, and you don't see any operation
But
guidelines on any of the
there
schemes.
must be groups that are approaching the key stakeholders in
Yes.
terms of ensuring
Yes.
that these things are sort of sticking to a certain timeline, right? I'm sure this is quite an aggressive process that's happening.
Yes, yes. So the only answer what we receive on the website just now is the guidelines will be issued soon. That is how we see that.
Okay, so I think we've all managed to sort of identify some of the key areas where we really need to go forward. In fact, one of the questions that I was proposed to ask is, what are the low-hanging fruit? And I usually hate asking that, because I think low-hanging fruit itself is quite a low standard, But in terms of any obvious successes that one can perhaps replicate and do it on the kind of scale that one needs to in this country, what are some of the examples that you can share with me?
We actually are full of such examples,
Of
right?
course.
We have products which have been incubated, designed, and in-house. But today, although that we have zero revenue of those products in country, but we are generating billions of dollars across developed economies. Not just because of the cost, but the whole product innovation which happened around it. Now, when you say low-hanging fruits, for sure there are domains where we develop products and can find the business around it. However, what I also wanted to bring to the point is that although we have been innovating and we have been developing
Yes.
solutions, generating jobs, and what exactly is needed for the economy to take shape for multiple years, but we still find the local ecosystem or domestic consumption to absorb some of these innovations in country a bit lacking. Like till now, any of the projects that happen around, and even maybe some of this will take shape in the form of Digital India, practically we are at a disadvantage of positioning the same products in there, because there may be some X policy which may define that X percentage of innovation in this routing or this switching or this network, which will be basically so limiting that it will
It's not an
rather
incentive.
it is going in the reverse way.
Right.
Because as I coming to my earlier comment, that business has to justify, or water has to find its own way. Manufacturing will happen if it is making sense. Because if we have a particular product which needs some volumes, it will happen in India for the consumption here, but for the consumption otherwise as well. So that's the reason why we are finding it a bit disadvantage in many of these positions,
Okay.
which hopefully should get clear, as Mr. Khan was also mentioning, that being taken care in some of these new projects. The other thing is that many of these projects which have been visualized for so long, and whether it is smart cities or whether it is Digital India, we have been seeing lack of progress moving forward, right? It's nothing which is last.
But we're talking about, I'm sorry to keep harping on this point, because I think a lot of the discussions that, whether it's focused on smart cities or any kind of, infrastructure layout or whatever we're talking about across various sectors, that hones into the whole policy, ease of doing business, that kind of whole conversation. What I've been trying to understand, and I must tell you as a complete outsider when it comes to digital India, so to speak, because as I'm not an engineer by nature, I want to understand a little bit more about the culture of inculcating innovation itself. How important is it actually to ensure, see, one thing is the financial incentives, the way a business can flourish. But I also want to really understand on a basic level, what are we really looking at in terms of education? Secretary Khan talked about engineers versus marketing sort of sales force, the growth of such. What are your views in terms of what we're doing as a culture perhaps that could help in aiding this?
I would just say that inherently, I think Indians have a bent for innovation.
Okay.
And I think inherently, intrinsically, that is in the DNA. I would love to see a transformation where instead of the Jugaad-led innovation, we make it a science, right? And there are approaches with which it could be made a science. For example, the best innovation happens by really going and in situ understanding customers, the way they use your product, they use your service, and let those insights and inputs collide with your product creators, your technology guys, your engineering guys, your commercial guys to come out with some propositions, right? That could be made a science, and I see very few corporates really emulating that or following that scientific approach, right? And that could be a game changer here, where a lot of the DNA and mindset towards innovation, be it process or product innovation, gets channelized towards some workable proposition.
And it's not Jugaad.
It's not Jugaad.
Jugaad can be a killer of innovation, actually.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, so I'll agree with him that the ecosystem still is not in place for an innovation to take place. So talk of a company, if they want to spend on R&D, or most of the manufacturing setup comes from 60-70% comes from SME.
Sure.
So are they really ready for that kind of an innovation? Are they ready for that gestation? If that innovation takes 3 years, 4 years, are they really getting funding for that? Because nobody has that capacity to wait for 2 to 3 years if that project takes long. So that gestation period needs to be also be funded.
So that goes back to that original point I'd made about
Yes.
funding and gestation,
Yes.
right? That remains quite a key challenge as well.
Yeah, that's will be. So what we see and is as a part of the industry, how we see startups or maybe this innovation thing happening or expanding. Like we have been working closely with the industry, but the more we work with the educational institutions, the whole hunger and the eagerness to innovate and to kind of do something which is different from usually going into a large company and working and maybe picking up a job is moving a big time, right? So I know for large even engineering colleges, people opting for 60 to 70% of people opting for new kind of job functions or startup companies, or where with perhaps coming to a point we have this in our bloodstreams. Its only thing is that one is that we certainly need, in terms of funding or in terms of ideas as well, industry needs to be getting more involved with these startups, as well as we should see in terms of even education, right? Today I don't think our education syllabus would have changed in the last 30-40 years in any of these. Good, you have not been through engineering college, but even if you had been, you would not have.
I'm regretting it right now, trust
yeah,
me.
so it's the kind of thing which continues the same syllabus continuing for 30-40 years. Like what is the new thing which we have done? Similarly, in terms of whether we look at how the business models to be made, even I am sure in the business institutions also nothing changes. So to incubate or to kind of develop it from the very beginning, this industry, education, financial support and government policy, as well as perhaps the legal support system around it, everything should be brought in as a structure, and that perhaps then let it grow and not put restraints around it that okay fine,
Sure.
put something here and take approval XYZ.
Any closing remarks from my two other panelists, because I've just been told that we're completely out of time here, but just very quickly in
No,
terms of your thoughts.
I would say, use of technology and mixed with a dose of, entrepreneurial push to drive innovation and done in a scientific approach way. I think
Sure.
that is the recipe, and it is actually at the core of how we will drive growth in the next 20 years.
And my closing remarks is all the slogans happening of ease of doing business
That's
and
right.
digital India. So that need to really now come to the ground. People are becoming a bit restless now, and it's almost 1.5 years, and things now need to move at
Deliver.
a pace what is expected from the government.
So the excitement is there and the
And it's
potential is
bit
there, but
of
we
waning
really
now.
need to get going
Yes,
now. All
we-
right.